Hello, YouTube viewers and random subscribers. Natter Fear Osmo Eating here, continuing with Doctor Who month, and in celebration of Doctor Who Day, I'm going to be counting down my list of my 5 favorite Doctor Who stories of all time. And remember, those Doctor Who stories are just my personal opinion, no one else's. And I also do apologize of how my voice is sounding. I've been going through some rough times lately, and I've been going through a messy breakup or separation with my former bestie, but I don't want to talk about it. So with that being said, let's get started. 5th place has to go to the 3 Doctors. What I personally think of the story, this is probably one of John Pertwee's best stories that he's done. And I really love how Patrick Troughton and William Hartnell were reprising the roles as the 1st and 2nd Doctors. I love the whole interaction with Brigadier Lethbridge Stewart and Sergeant Benjamin in the beginning half of the story. The whole story as a whole is good, and I thought Omega was a pretty good villain for the story, a pretty good big bad. It's probably one of the best multi-Doctor stories aside from the 5 Doctors and Day of the Doctor and maybe Twice Upon a Time. And it's, well, basically, this takes my number 5 spot since it is one of John Pertwee's best stories. So let's get on with the next one. In 4th place, we have Castrovalva, probably one of the Peter Davidson's best opening stories for his Doctor, and probably one of the best post-regeneration stories of all time. It kicks off where Logopolis went off, but we do get to see the Doctor's 5th incarnation in his post-regeneration state. He's lost his memory, and he's also like impersonating his previous incarnations in some parts of the story. And I do love the part where his Doctor was like coming into returns of regeneration, and I do like the quote, "That's the trouble with regeneration. You never know what you're going to get." Sorry if I butchered it. Probably one of the best post-regeneration scenes in the story itself. And I do love the whole scene where the 5th Doctor's in the Zero Room. Probably one of the best rooms in the TARDIS. It's like an anti-gravity room or some shit like that. And personally, one of the best parts of this story. And as always, Anthony Ainley does a great job portraying the Master as always. And probably overall one of my favorite classic era post-regeneration stories. At least in my personal preference anyways. So, on to the 3rd one. In 3rd place, we have The 11th Hour. Probably one of Matt Smith's best stories, and probably one of the best new series post-regeneration stories of all time. Like, for starters, I do love the interaction where the newly regenerated 11 Doctors meets Amy as a kid, but then meets with her again later in the story as an adult, basically with Amy as a kissogram. And I thought Rory was a pretty good companion too, and I do love the Atraxi as the big bad of this story. And I do love the part where the 11th Doctor was like, "Hello, I'm the Doctor. Basically, run." Probably one of the best opening quotes. And I do also love the TARDIS console in this story. Probably my favorite Matt Smith TARDIS console, since I don't dig the later one that he had that much. And probably one of the best new series stories so far, but not as much as this next one, which I'm going to get to right now. In 2nd place, we have Partners in Crime. Probably one of David Tennant's best stories, since I'm not a huge fan of David Tennant's portrayal of the Doctor, but Series 4 was probably one of his best seasons or best series during his tenure as the Doctor, and Partners in Crime was probably my favorite story of his. And it also marked the return of Donna Noble. I love Catherine Tate's performance as Donna, taking a completely irritating character from the Runaway Bride into this living, breathing human, and probably a great companion. It does make David Tennant's portrayal as the Doctor watchable. I also love Miss Foster as the main villain of the story, including I like her sonic pen too. And the Adipose is probably one of the cutest aliens in this story, being made of living fat, but also looking like marshmallows in my personal opinion. This is probably one of the best new series stories of all time, and one of my overall favorites of the new series so far. But as always, it isn't my number one favorite, which I'm going to get to right now. Taking the number one spot is obviously City of Death. Probably one of Tom Baker's best stories for his tenure as the Doctor, and my number one favorite for good reason. There is probably a lot to say about this one. Tom Baker and Lalla Ward does a great job as the Doctor, and Romana as always. I also love that this story takes place in Paris, which is a sort of a rare thing for the show, where they take the show itself on the road. I love Julian Glover's performance as Count Scaglione, aka Scaroff, in this story. I love the plot about like the stolen Mona Lisa, the crack in time. There's a lot to say, and I also loved Tom Chadbone's performance as Duggan, one of the characters in this particular story. There is, like, I don't know, so much to say. The writing is good, and David Fisher, Douglas Adams, and Graham Williams, who are the writers for this story under the name David Agnew, did a really great job making it. And that's the reason why it's my number one favorite. And it's staying there for a long time. And that is my list of my top 5 favorite Doctor Who stories. Let me know in the comments below what's your favorite Doctor Who story, and I'll see you in another video. Goodbye, everyone.